Well, hello. I just had got a couple of thoughts that's been running through my mind because yesterday I was going through I've got a little MacBook that I have Pro Logic and Pro Tools on, which is you use to record with. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with uh, those systems. Those I guess you would call applications. Uh, it's like it's like being in an old recording studio, but you're recording digitally. Anyway, I was going back through that because I've done quite a bit of recording in my studio using that up until March 28th, 2022, uh, when I had a pretty good problem and had to go be rushed to the hospital, and it took a few months to recover. Uh, it comes with age, so that's how it goes. Anyway, since that time, there's certain things that I find that I don't remember. I mean, I just don't remember. Uh, and that happened again yesterday to a pretty powerful extent as it hit me. Uh, the iPhone that I had, and I use hand me downs from my kids, uh, it had crashed on me, oh, what, 4 or 5 years ago, I guess. And I thought I had a backup with Apple. To my knowledge, I'd been paying them for it. But no, I didn't have a backup. And I couldn't uh, fix it myself. So I went to I went to a repair shop that deals specifically with the Apple phones. A fella here in the Metro Atlanta area, he's very good with it. And he got the check, and he was like, I can't recover any of it. It's the hard drive just crashed and it's gone. I can't do anything with it. And I was, I guess, upset to some degree because I thought that I probably had somewhere in the neighborhood of 80 songs or so. Because often the way I write is I'm coming up with stuff and I'm at the piano, but mostly these days I'm at the guitar. And I'll sit there and like play the guitar all day long, well into the evening, well into the morning actually. uh, and I just keep coming up with ideas. And as I do, what I'll do is I'll turn on my phone's voice memo, and I'll just do a quick, rough, raw recording of what idea I've got. And I've always got a notebook there with me, and I'm writing out poetry and I'm writing out lyrics. Uh, so I do it that way. And I thought that I had probably in the neighborhood of 80 songs on it at that point. Um, I had done the same with the phone prior to that, and I have done it now with the phone since then. Um, but so I thought I'd lost it. Now, so I thought that for what's it been, 2, 3 years now? I guess maybe 4. I'm not sure. I believe. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly when that happened, but the last few months. But so anyway, I'm going through it, and I find a file, and there they are, 83 songs. Uh, and I was going through a few of them last night, but I got a number of them I knew, and I have recorded since, or worked with since, a number of them. But there was a number of them that I just didn't remember. And there was a few of them that struck me as, did I write that? I mean, that's my voice. That's me on guitar. But I'm playing guitar better then than I am now. And, maybe I was singing better then than I am now, too. Uh, and it was the little things that got me, the phrasing I might use on a vocal, on a melody line. Anyway, it just got me to considering quantum physics. The multiverse theory, which I've never taken too seriously, although it seems more and more physicists these days are taking that the multiverse idea more seriously. Mostly due to it seems to me, two things: the double slit experiment and the and quantum entanglement. And basically, the double slit experiment shows that if you fire off particles at we'll call it a wall that has two slits in it, and then you have a photogenic behind it at some distance that will record where the particle hits. When you just start firing them off, you get the result of wave entanglement. You get a number of slits across there as they pile up. And then the way it happened is it began to get wondering, well, which slit is the particle hitting? And so you got something that can record which slit the particle initially hits. As soon as you start measuring that, the wave collapses and you just get two slits, like as though the particle is traveling as a wave until consciousness looks at it. And when consciousness looks at it, tries to measure it, it collapses to just a particle, like a photon, like a little bullet being shot. And then the thing about quantum entanglement is you entangle a particle with another, and regardless of the distance between those two particles, as Bohr said, outstanding physicist in the last century, that developed the probability theory of how to measure particles. He found that particles are in superposition, meaning that, like an electron, it doesn't actually, like in a hydrogen atom, the electron doesn't actually orbit the nucleus where the proton and neutron are, the way planets orbit the sun. Instead, the electron is very, very busy and a very active particle, and it's more like, and it's moving so fast that it's everywhere. And Bohr called that superposition. That's a pretty good term for it. It's super, all right. And so you got it in superposition, and that collapses when you go to measure it. So anyway, you get these particles entangled, and as soon as you measure one and learn where it is. You know, is it a spin up? Is it a spin down, etc.? There's different states the particle can be in. Then you automatically know the other is the exact opposite. It's like they can communicate regardless of the space between them, which is, you know, which is interesting. It really causes you to wonder what the universe is actually about. How big is the universe actually? There's a lot of different theories that go with that came out of it, but one is that consciousness seems to affect the universe itself, and then the theory of the multiverse grew out of that, you know, which in really simple terms is that, you know, you go about your life and you're always making decisions on what path you're going to take, and at various times, you know, it's can be very distinctly different paths, and it's been postulated that when you take that different path, you you create another universe. You know, you come along and you take a path off to the right. Well, another you continues on in another universe, and it knows you in that universe, doesn't think anything about, doesn't even realize that you split off and created a different universe. That's a lot to take in. That's a lot. That's a lot to believe. Uh, and in science, you don't believe. You postulate a theory, and and then you go about experimenting to prove it. And you know, how do you prove that? It does appear that more people think that that might be a possibility. More scientists think that may be a possibility than have ever thought so before. Definitely are thinking in terms of conscious, the effect of consciousness on the universe, which is which is when you just think about the world around you. How does consciousness affect the world around you? But then you get to thinking, well, your consciousness causes you do, to act in various ways, and those actions affect the world around us, and that's true. So anyway, I'm listening to these songs, and I'm thinking, is that me? And then I start thinking, well, maybe when I did that, because what I had a aorta dissection. I had to have part of my aorta replaced, and the rest of it I had to have stents in. I'm doing fine though, thank you. Yeah, it was a bit tough recovering, but I'm doing fine. Very lucky, very lucky. I got to ride in a helicopter. I've ridden in a helicopter 2 times. First time with my buddies when we were in the army in West Germany at a missile site, and a colonel came to visit us in a helicopter. And while he was in visiting with the captain, the pilot asked us, would we like to take a ride? Oh, yeah. And he took us up in that Huey. And he did some wild things, you know, and it occurred to me, you could fall out of this damn thing. I think Dennis thought the same thing. I'm not sure about Kit. It's hard to remember, but it does seem like they were holding on. And then I haven't ridden in one since. And then I rode in one March 28th, 2022, uh, into downtown Atlanta to Piedmont Atlanta Hospital. They've got a real outstanding team, and technology's come a long way. And that's lucky for me, because had it not made a hell of a lot of progress in the last 10, 20 years, I guess I wouldn't be sitting here talking, making this recording. Um, so, I don't need to make this too long. But anyway, it occurred to me is maybe there's something to do with the multiverse deal. And that was a split for me. And I'm inheriting from a different me now. That seems really way out there. But this guy was a very good guitarist. I'm not that good. He was a very good songwriter. I feel like I'm still struggling. Great lyricist. Well, I'm pretty good at that. You know, let me break my arm, pat myself on the back. It's just a thought. You know, it occurred to me long ago that some folks turn to religion to try to understand the world around them and human behavior and etc. Just the world around you. I've always used science. I was asking questions before I started school, and I was lucky enough to have parents that had a lot of patience with me and would try to answer the questions. And a lot of them I forgot, and later, after I was grown, my mother and my father began to relate some of the questions I'd been asking, you know, when I was 3 and 4 and 5 years old. You know, well, why does the grass only grow this high, but the trees grow that high? Why are they green? Why is it all green? Well, why is it brown in the wintertime then? I can't remember all the things he told me, but apparently I had a question for just about everything. I wanted to know why and how. And so when I started school, as soon as I was able to get a science class, oh yeah, I love that. Physical science, and then you know, honestly, biology. When we had to do the dissection, that made me sick. It was interesting, but my God, that made me sick. So I kind of held biology at arm's length. Geology, that was better. But physics was the thing. And I've turned to physics, I think, the way a lot of people turn to religion. I've turned to physics. Help me understand the why. Why is it this way? And how are things designed? And what is the universe actually like? And the study of the quantum world really opens up a lot of questions, so I've enjoyed that. I've enjoyed that while accepting the fact that it's like going down the rabbit hole. You know, it just goes on and on and on and on and on. It's like the song, the beat goes on, the questions go on. the questions go on. I can't get all the answers that I want. Anyway, that's my thoughts for today. Thanks a lot. You guys have a good one. And I'm going to start putting some of those songs out on the channel. So I hope you enjoy them. Appreciate it. Well, appreciate it if I can turn it off. Y'all take care.